Listening to music could be instrumental in preventing people admitted to intensive care units from developing delirium. That's according to one researcher for IU Health's Regan Street Institute. As Benta Boutier reports, a recently completed small pilot phase came back with positive results. They plan to start recruiting subjects for a larger confirmatory study in February.
Dr. Barbara Kahn is leading the first study to see whether listening to music can prevent development of delirium in the intensive care unit. He's working with older patients who've been admitted to an intensive care unit and put on a breathing machine.
So when people get sick, they get admitted to the ICU. Most of the people, we end up putting on breathing machines because they cannot breathe by themselves. So when they are on mechanical ventilators and they are super sick, somehow they develop this form of acute brain failure called delirium.
Kahn says close to half of people admitted to the ICU are put on a ventilator machine. Of those, 80% will develop delirium, something he sees as a serious concern.
When you develop delirium in the ICU, you tend to stay longer in the ICU, and you have less chances of going back home and more chances of going to a nursing home or a rehab facility if you're in the ICU. The second other very important factor is when you develop delirium in the intensive care unit, the chances of you developing dementia once you get out of the ICU rises quite a bit.
Kahn says around 33% of patients put on a breathing machine in the ICU develop dementia in the 3 years after being treated. He says the goal of the study was to find an easy-to-implement solution that wouldn't have unforeseen consequences to the patients.
The beauty of using music in the ICU is once we complete the study and confirm the results of our pilot, this could be easily implementable in any of the ICU.
He says the goal of the study was to find an easy-to-implement solution that wouldn't have unforeseen consequences to the patients. The study uses two groups, one receiving music for 2 hours a day and another group who doesn't. His study will go for the next 5 years. Kahn says his goal is to get patients treatment for one health problem without creating another.
We would like to have an ICU when you get admitted, you get taken care of, and you would not be worried about developing dementia in the long term.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Benta Boutier.